So I was visiting Seattle a mistake. It surely was warmer in Seattle, right? Well, wrong. Seattle actually got some cold front, so even though for the first couple days it was nicer here, in Seattle than it was here, quickly that pattern began to flip. Because on the 20th, it got cold. It only got to 39 degrees. And even though I was in Vancouver that day, Vancouver still got to 45 degrees. When I landed in Seattle, it was like 47. And that was, I think, the nicest temperature I felt on the entire trip. Because when we got to Seattle, there were some days that were like this, and I'm not even joking. It got pretty yucky. Now, because February 21st, it already got to 53 degrees. I don't know if here, where I live, it got to 53 degrees, but I know it did in the city. Also, the UVs were starting to hit 4. It began to, I don't want to say feel like spring, but it began to feel better. The days were about to crack 11 hours, and oh my god, it's so windy outside. I know it's like 67 degrees. It's still freezing. On February 22nd, ahead of a cold front, I didn't get this one here, but in New York City, it actually got to 58 degrees. 59, actually, if you look at this marker. And the low was only in the lower 30s. On the 23rd, we got treated because look at how it was at 59, and then it got to 60, and it actually warmed up. It got to 67 degrees, and where I live, from what I hear, it got to 68 degrees. But that only lasted until 3 p.m., and the temperature rapidly crashed. It got down to the 30s at night, and when we landed, look. When we landed, by the time we landed, 33-degree temperatures. That heat was erased. And on the 25th, another major storm came in that actually caused us to lose power. They say it was only rain, but it was actually really icy. I think here we actually managed to get some snow in because it was colder, and it got actually down to 32 degrees, which is the ice mark. So this is more like a freezing rain scenario. But like the other February storm, this one doesn't really have a lot of notability, and I'll try to do some research on these storms, see if I can find anything useful, maybe add them to Wikipedia. I don't know what I'll be able to find. It did hit the 40s, at least in the city, but then the temperature rapidly crashed after that. Until you got to your bleak, near-average February conditions. Now, one thing I do want to say about the weather in New York City in February was that the lows were below average, but the highs were well above average, so February was still an above-average month. It was the opposite of February 2021, where the highs were below average and the lows were above average, but it wasn't enough so that February 2021 still became a below-average month. Fun fact, February 1st, 2021 became the snowiest first day of any month in New York City, and September 1st, 2021, when Ida struck, was the most rain on the first day of the month in New York City. If you look at the weather in New York City today, you can see another crazy temperature plummet because the high of 78 was at midnight and the low of 60 is going to be at 8 o'clock before the temperature begins to slightly rebound, though it actually gets down to the 50s tomorrow for possibly the last time in September, especially in New York City. The high tomorrow only gets up to 71 degrees, and this is crazy because look at what the temperature was yesterday. It got up to 91 degrees, which is another, again, really big temperature crash that we seem to be having a lot of. Also, I want to make one note of the UV index. It peaked at 2 o'clock now when solar noon is at 1 o'clock. And also compare what it was on Thursday. Look, these temperature swings are becoming more extreme. And maybe I'll make a video of some other temperature swings, but really, these temperature swings are becoming extreme and they're becoming unhealthy too. You can't really deal with it when the temperatures are changing this much so quickly. It's hard for the human body to adapt, and especially when you have things where it goes from the 60s to the teens. I mean, I don't know if any of our swings were quite that extreme. I don't think that they were, but you really can't handle that.